The news spread quickly through the gleaming hallways of the Galactic Coalition Military Academy. 5 humans were joining their ranks. Students from across the galaxy gathered in small groups, their voices a mix of excitement, curiosity, and unease. "They're from Earth," a slender Felbian student with silver skin whispered. "A death world. I heard they can survive radiation that would kill any of us," added a bulky Dravian whose rocky skin cracked slightly as he spoke on the highest level of the Academy's central tower. Admiral Zixvar stared out the panoramic window at the 3 moons hanging in the purple sky. The blue-skinned Arcturian's 4 eyes narrowed as he reviewed the files on his datapad once more. "Humans," he said, the word feeling strange in his mouth. "Are we certain this is wise, Commander?" Commander Trell, his faithful assistant for over 20 years, straightened her uniform. Her green scales caught the light as she moved. "The diplomatic corps insists, Admiral. Earth has resources we need, and humans have proven themselves resilient." Admiral Zixvar made a sound that might have been a laugh. Resilient. An interesting choice of word for a species that evolved on a planet trying to kill them at every turn. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, natural disasters. It's a wonder they survived long enough to develop space travel, which is precisely why some council members advocated for their inclusion, Commander. Trell said their adaptability could be an asset. "Or a threat," the Admiral countered. He set down the datapad with more force than necessary. "We need to evaluate them properly before they integrate with the other students. Something challenging that will show us their true capabilities." Commander Trell's eyes lit up. "The Kaldorian battle simulation?" The Admiral turned all 4 eyes to her. "That's rather extreme, isn't it?" "No first-year cadet has ever completed it successfully, which makes it the perfect test," she replied. "If they fail, as expected, we'll have clear evidence they need. Additional training before joining regular classes? If they show promise, we'll know exactly what we're dealing with." Admiral Zixvar nodded slowly. "Schedule it for tomorrow. 3 standard days should be enough to evaluate their endurance and tactical thinking." "I'll make the arrangements," Commander Trell said. Already sending commands through her neural implant, neither of them suspected that what they intended as a 3-day evaluation would change everything in less than 15 minutes. Jack Nelson stepped off the transport shuttle and took his first breath of air on Station Gamma 7, home of the Galactic Coalition Military Academy. It smelled faintly of ozone and something flowery he couldn't identify. "It's really happening," Emma Wright said beside him, her eyes wide as she took in the soaring architecture of the Academy. Crystalline spires reached toward the stars, connected by graceful bridges that seemed to float without support. Behind them, Daniel Garcia whistled low. "They sure know how to make an entrance hall." Olivia Martinez adjusted her uniform for the 5th time. "Remember what Captain Lewis told us. We're not just cadets, we're Earth's representatives." "No pressure or anything," Sam Phillips muttered, running a hand through his short blonde hair. A tall, insect-like being approached them, its 4 arms moving in perfect coordination as it operated a floating translator device. "Welcome, Earth cadets. I am Instructor Kiv. Please follow me too." "Your quarters." As they walked through the academy, students from dozens of different species stopped to stare. Jack noticed how they moved aside, giving the humans a wider berth than seemed necessary. "They're afraid of us," Emma whispered. "They don't understand." "US," Jack corrected. "There's a difference." Their quarters were located in the East Wing, 5 small but comfortable rooms arranged around a common area. After settling in, Instructor Kiv returned with news. "You will participate in a special evaluation tomorrow morning at 0600 hours. Admiral Zixvar himself will oversee the exercise." After the instructor left, the 5 humans gathered in the common area. "A special evaluation?" "That wasn't in the briefing," Olivia said, frowning. Sam shrugged. "They want to see what the Deathworlders can do. Then we show them," Jack said simply. "What's the worst it could be?" The answer came at 0500 hours the next morning when their datapads simultaneously lit up with information about the Kaldorian battle simulation. Daniel read the details aloud while the others prepared for the day. 3-day tactical exercise. Command of simulated fleet. Against superior enemy forces. Survival or victory conditions. Emma looked up from lacing her boots. Has anyone completed it before? Not successfully, Jack said, scanning through the data. The record is just under 3 days of survival, but no victories. Sam groaned. So they're setting us up to fail on day 1. No, Olivia said firmly. They're giving us a chance to prove ourselves. There must be a way to win. Jack was already pulling up additional information about the simulation parameters. Look at this. The environment includes a star system with multiple planets, asteroid fields, and a nebula. We get limited forces against a much larger enemy. Fleet. Standard no-win scenario, Daniel said. Jack's eyes narrowed as he studied the technical specifications. Maybe not. The simulation calculates real physics. Gravitational fields, electromagnetic interactions, radiation effects, ... His voice trailed off as ideas began forming. Jack's got that look, Emma said with a small smile. The one he had during the Mars rescue simulation back home? We passed that one in record time, Sam recalled. And we're going to pass this one, too, Jack said, his fingers flying over the datapad. Gather around. We have 1 hour, and I need all of you to understand exactly what we're going to do. As the humans huddled together, reviewing technical specifications and formulating plans, the rest of the academy slept peacefully, unaware that history was about to be made. At precisely 0600 hours, the 5 human cadets walked into the simulation chamber, where Admiral Zixvar, Commander Trell, and 10 other high-ranking officers waited to witness what they assumed would be the humans' first lesson in humility. Instead, it would become the galaxy's first lesson about humanity. Jack stepped forward, his posture perfect, his expression calm. Earth cadets reporting as ordered, Admiral. We're ready to begin the simulation. The Admiral nodded, his 4 eyes studying the humans with obvious skepticism. Very well. The simulation is designed to last 3 days. We will be observing your performance throughout. Jack exchanged quick glances with his teammates. They had spent the past hour planning not for 3 days, but for 15 minutes. Understood, Admiral, Jack replied. We look forward to showing you what humans can do. The simulation chamber was enormous. Jack and the other human cadets stood in the center of a vast, empty space with metallic floors that seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. High above them, a domed ceiling glittered with thousands of tiny lights. General Krell stepped forward. The insectoid Vesperian towered over the humans, nearly 9 feet tall with 4 arms and a chitinous exoskeleton that gleamed under the lights. His compound eyes reflected the humans' images back at them like living mirrors. The Keldorian battle simulation is the most advanced tactical exercise in the Coalition, General Krell explained, his mandibles clicking between words. The chamber will generate a complete star system with all relevant physical properties. You will command a small fleet against a superior enemy force. He gestured with his upper right arm, and holographic control stations appeared around the humans. Each station featured displays, tactical interfaces, and command consoles adjusted to human height and proportions. To succeed, you must either achieve total victory or survive for 3 standard days, General Krell continued. The simulation will test your endurance, resource management, and tactical thinking under prolonged stress. The general's mandibles clicked rapidly in what the humans recognized as the Vesperian equivalent of a condescending smile. The current record for first-year cadets is surviving for 2 days and 14 hours. No team has achieved victory. Emma glanced at Jack, who was studying the control interface with unusual intensity. His fingers hovered just above the surface, not touching but clearly mapping the layout in his mind. Daniel and Sam moved to their stations, exchanging knowing looks, while Olivia stretched her fingers calmly. From the observation deck, Admiral Zixvar watched with his 4 eyes narrowed. Beside him, Commander Trell and 10 other high-ranking officers from various coalition species prepared to take notes on the humans' performance. They seem confident, Commander Trell observed. Overconfidence more likely, replied Azentari. General, his crystalline form refracting light as he shifted. They have no concept of what they're facing. Admiral HFY said nothing, but his lower left eye remained fixed on Jack. Something about the human's calm demeanor unsettled him. Back on the simulation floor, General Krell completed his instructions. Once the simulation begins, time will be compressed. What feels like 3 days to you will actually pass in 3 hours of real time. This allows for proper evaluation while maintaining reasonable scheduling. We understand, General, Jack responded with a respectful nod. We're ready to begin. General Krell seemed surprised by the lack of questions but quickly recovered. Very well. The simulation will commence in 30 seconds. As the general retreated to join the others in the observation deck, the 5 humans gathered quickly in. A tight circle. Remember the plan, Jack whispered. Emma, you take the nebula approach. Daniel, the asteroid field is yours. Olivia and Sam, you're with me on the gravitational maneuvers. What if they've programmed limits on the physics we discussed? Olivia asked. Jack shook his head. They wouldn't. The whole point is to make it realistic. If we can calculate it, the simulation should allow it. 5 seconds, Sam warned. Glancing at the countdown displayed above them, they broke their huddle and moved to their stations just as the simulation engaged. The empty chamber transformed around them. Suddenly they stood on the bridge of a coalition. Light cruiser. Through the viewport they could see stars, distant planets, and the faint glow of a nebula at the edge of the system. The tactical display showed their forces, 5 light cruisers including their own, and 10 fighter squadrons. In contrast, the enemy controlled 3 massive battleships, 15 cruisers, and numerous support vessels. The odds were heavily stacked against them. In the observation deck, Admiral HFY leaned back in his chair. Now we'll see how they handle overwhelming force. Most cadets attempt to establish a defensive position and gradually wear down their resources until they inevitably fail. But the humans did not follow the expected pattern. Jack immediately opened a communication channel to all their ships. All vessels, this is command. Execute Operation Thunderclap. Groups Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, split now and proceed to your designated coordinates. The observers watched in confusion as the human fleet split into 3 smaller groups instead of consolidating their forces. What are they doing? Commander Trell whispered. They're dividing their already inferior forces. Admiral HFY leaned forward, his ridged forehead furrowing. A strange approach. They'll be overrun within minutes. On the simulation floor, Emma took command of the first group, consisting of 2 cruisers and 4 fighter squadrons. Alpha Group, follow me into the nebula. Full power to engines, minimal power to weapon systems for now. Her ships peeled away, accelerating toward the glowing cloud of gas and dust at the system's edge. Daniel directed the second group, taking 1 cruiser and 3 fighter squadrons. Beta Group, setting course for the asteroid field. Power down all non-essential systems once we're in position. His vessels moved toward a dense field of rocky debris, already beginning to reduce their energy signatures. Jack, with Olivia and Sam, commanded the remaining forces, 2 cruisers and 3 fighter squadrons. Gamma Group, begin broadcasting. On all frequencies. Let's make ourselves look like a much larger fleet. Their ships started transmitting contradictory signals and false energy readings, creating electronic signatures that suggested a force 3 times their actual size. The enemy fleet, controlled by the simulation's artificial intelligence, hesitated. Its programming expected conventional tactics and was momentarily confused by the humans' approach. In the observation deck, the alien officers exchanged puzzled glances. Are they attempting to confuse the enemy? Asked the Dravian commander, his rocky features set in a frown. If so, it won't work for long, replied General Krell. The simulation will adapt. Admiral HFY said nothing, but his discomfort grew as he watched the humans work with practiced efficiency. They weren't panicking or improvising. This appeared to be a coordinated strategy they had devised in advance. On the simulation bridge, Jack turned to Olivia and Sam. Begin calculating the gravitational slingshot trajectories. I want precise coordinates for every planet in this system. Olivia's fingers flew across her console, already mapping the gravitational wells. Sam, I need velocity calculations. Sam nodded, his eyes fixed on his display, working on it. If we time this right, we can achieve speeds the simulation won't expect. Meanwhile, Emma's ships disappeared into the nebula, the ionized gases masking their presence from enemy sensors. Inside her cruiser, she ordered her engineers to make specific modifications. Reroute power from life support and artificial gravity to weapons systems, she commanded. We only need enough life support to last 15 minutes, not 3 days. In the asteroid field, Daniel's vessels powered down almost completely, drifting among the rocks like dead ships. His fighters deployed to specific asteroids, attaching themselves to certain mineral-rich rocks. Begin electromagnetic harvesting, Daniel ordered. I want localized EMP capabilities within 5 minutes. The simulation timer showed only 8 minutes had passed. In the observation deck, the alien officers were growing increasingly uncomfortable. They're not fighting, one whispered. What game are they playing? Admiral Zixvar's discomfort had transformed into genuine concern. They're not playing a game, he said quietly. They're rewriting the rules. The enemy fleet began to move. 3 massive battleships formed a triangular formation with smaller cruisers flanking their sides. They advanced slowly toward the center of the system, where Jack's group continued broadcasting false signals. 10 minutes had passed in the simulation. In the observation deck, General Krell clicked his mandibles with satisfaction. Now we'll see some action. The enemy has detected their deception and is moving to crush their main force. Admiral Zixvar wasn't so sure. Why are the humans smiling? It was true. On the bridge of the simulated cruiser, Jack, Olivia, and Sam all wore small smiles as they watched the enemy approach. They're taking the bait, Jack said quietly. Status on the gravitational calculations? Complete, Olivia replied. We've mapped slingshot trajectories around all 9 planets. If we time this correctly, we can accelerate to speeds that will overwhelm their targeting systems, Sam nodded. The physics are sound. Their weapons are calibrated for normal combat. Speed's not what we're planning. Jack opened a secure channel to Emma and Daniel. The enemy is committed to our position. Execute Phase 2 on my mark. In the nebula, Emma's ships had completed their modifications. Life support was minimal, artificial gravity was offline, and all non-essential systems were shut down. The energy saved had been rerouted to weapons and shields in ways the simulation designers had never anticipated but were technically valid within the parameters. Ready on your mark, Emma confirmed. Her crew moved in zero gravity, secured by simple straps and breathing through emergency masks. It was uncomfortable but manageable. For the short time they needed in the asteroid field, Daniel had turned the mineral-rich rocks into weapons. By harvesting specific elements and creating makeshift electromagnetic devices, his team had prepared localized EMP weapons that could temporarily disable enemy systems. Beta group standing by, Daniel reported. EMP charges ready. Jack took a deep breath. Mark. Everything happened at once. Emma's ships burst from the nebula, appearing directly behind the enemy's largest battleship. With their energy signatures masked by the nebula's interference and all power diverted to weapons, they fired a devastating first strike at point-blank range. Simultaneously, Daniel's vessels launched dozens of modified asteroids toward the enemy fleet. As they approached, the asteroids detonated in precisely calculated electromagnetic pulses that washed over the enemy ships, disrupting their targeting systems and communications. In the observation deck, chaos erupted. Where did those ships come from? Shouted the Zentari general, his crystalline form flashing with alarm. The nebula should have damaged their systems, Commander Trell exclaimed. How are they functioning at full capacity? General Krell leaned forward, his compound eyes fixed on the tactical display. And those asteroids, they're creating localized EMP fields. That's not standard procedure, Admiral Zixvar said nothing. He was watching Jack on the main bridge. Jack turned to Olivia and Sam. Execute gravitational maneuver now. They're remaining Cruisers and fighter squadrons suddenly accelerated toward the nearest planet, a gas giant with powerful gravitational pull. To the observers, it looked like a suicide run. "They're going to crash," Commander Trell gasped, but the humans had calculated everything precisely. Their ships skimmed the upper atmosphere of the gas giant, using its gravity to slingshot them at incredible speed toward the next planet in the system. The maneuver gave them velocity that the simulation calculated as theoretically possible, but practically unfeasible. "They're using the planets as weapons," General Krell stammered, his mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Indeed, Jack's group was now moving so fast that the enemy's targeting computers couldn't track them effectively. They blazed through the enemy formation, causing confusion and disrupting their carefully arranged battle lines. Emma's group continued their assault from behind, their weapons devastating at close range with all available power diverted to them. Daniel's EMP attacks had left half the enemy fleet with disabled weapons and shields. 12 minutes into the simulation, the enemy commander, an AI designed to adapt to conventional tactics, was overwhelmed. Its programming had no reference for the strategies the humans were employing. It attempted to regroup its forces, but the humans gave it no time. "Phase 3, Jack ordered. "Converge on the command ship." Emma's group abandoned their attack on the rear battleship and changed course, accelerating toward the enemy's command vessel. Daniel's ships emerged from the asteroid field, launching a final wave of EMP devices before joining the assault. Jack's group completed another gravitational slingshot around a small rocky planet, gaining even more speed as they approached the command ship from a third direction. The enemy fleet was in disarray. Some ships still struggled with electrical failures from the EMPs. Others were out of position after trying to pursue Jack's impossibly fast vessels. The carefully coordinated attack had shattered their numerical advantage. In the observation deck, the alien officers watched in stunned silence. "This is impossible," whispered General Krell. "No first-year cadets could execute such precision maneuvers." "They're not just surviving," Commander Trell said, "they're winning." Admiral Zixvar finally spoke. "They never intended to fight for 3 days. They planned to end this in minutes." On the main bridge, Jack, Olivia, and Sam worked with calm efficiency. There was no shouting, no panic, just quiet commands and acknowledgments as they executed. "Their plan, Emma, status?" Jack asked over the comm. "Approaching command ship from Vector 7. Weapons hot, though life support is getting critical. We have maybe 3 minutes left. Daniel? Coming in from Vector 3. Last of the EMP devices deployed. Their shields are fluctuating." Jack nodded. "We'll approach from Vector 5. Synchronized. Attack on my mark." The enemy command ship was enormous, bristling with weapons and protected by powerful shields. Under normal circumstances, it would have taken hours of sustained assault to breach its defenses. But these were not normal circumstances. Emma's ships, with weapons supercharged beyond standard specifications, targeted the shield generators. Daniel's final EMP burst created a momentary fluctuation in the shield pattern, and Jack's vessels, moving at speeds that defied conventional combat doctrine, slipped through the gap with surgical precision. "Fire," Jack ordered all remaining. Weapons from all 3 groups struck the command ship simultaneously. The synchronized attack overwhelmed its remaining defenses. In the simulation, explosions blossomed across its hull as critical systems failed, 14 minutes and 20 seconds into what was supposed to be a 3-day ordeal. The enemy command ship broadcast a surrender signal, with their flagship disabled, and their formation in shambles. The remaining vessels quickly followed suit. Complete victory. The simulation chamber fell silent. The holographic battlefield froze, then slowly dissolved, leaving the 5 human cadets standing at their stations. They straightened to attention, their expressions neutral despite having just shattered every record in the Academy's history. Admiral Zixvar checked the timer. 14 minutes and 47 seconds. "What just happened?" Commander Trell whispered. The simulation chamber returned to its neutral state. The holographic ships and planets disappeared, leaving only the 5 human cadets standing at their stations. For a long moment nobody spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the chambers. Systems cooling down after the intense computational work of the simulation. Admiral HFY descended from the observation deck, followed by the stunned generals and commanders. Their footsteps echoed in the large empty space as they approached the humans. 14 minutes and 47 seconds, Admiral HFY said, his voice carefully controlled. You completed the Keldorian battle simulation in 14 minutes and 47 seconds. Jack and the other human cadets remained at attention, their expressions neutral. How? The Admiral asked, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. How is this possible? Jack stepped forward slightly. With respect, Admiral, we studied the parameters you provided. The simulation allows for gravitational calculations and electromagnetic interactions. We simply applied principles that are common knowledge on Earth. Common knowledge? General Krell chittered, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Using planets as gravitational slingshots? Modifying ships to function with minimal life support? Creating electromagnetic pulse weapons from asteroids. These are not common tactics. They are for us, Emma said calmly. Earth's space program began with limited resources. We had to use planetary gravity to send probes to distant planets because our engines weren't powerful enough. It's basic orbital mechanics. And electromagnetic pulse weapons? Commander Trell. Daniel shrugged slightly. The principle is taught in basic physics classes. If the simulation allows for realistic electromagnetic interactions, the application is straightforward. The aliens exchanged troubled glances. The casual way? The humans dismissed their extraordinary achievement was perhaps more disturbing than the achievement itself. But 3 days, compressed into 15 minutes? Commander Trell whispered. Olivia stepped forward to stand beside Jack. With respect, Commander, why would we drag out a battle when we could end it quickly? Prolonged engagements increase the risk of casualties and resource depletion. On Earth, we have a saying, Sam added. Don't play with your food. The aliens looked confused at this idiom, but the meaning became clear enough as Sam continued. If you have the means to win decisively, you do it immediately. Anything else is wasteful and potentially disrespectful to your opponent. Admiral HFY studied the humans with new eyes. You never intended to survive for 3 days. You planned for a quick victory from the beginning. Yes, sir, Jack confirmed. The parameters stated that either survival for 3 days or total. Victory would constitute success. We chose victory. A Zentari general stepped forward, his crystalline form catching the light. But how did you develop this strategy so quickly? You only received the simulation parameters this morning. The humans exchanged brief glances. We stayed up last night studying the technical specifications of the simulation, Jack explained. Once we understood the physics engine it uses, we developed our approach. One night? The Zentari's voice contained unmistakable disbelief. You developed and perfected this strategy in one night? It wasn't that complicated, Emma said. The simulation uses standard Newtonian physics with relativistic corrections. Once we knew that, we could predict how it would calculate gravitational effects, energy transfers, and electromagnetic interactions. The aliens were silent again, processing this information. The implications were significant. If 5 human cadets with minimal training could dismantle the Coalition's most challenging simulation in minutes, what could a trained human military force accomplish? General Krell finally broke the silence. Admiral, I believe we should discuss this development in private. Admiral HFY nodded slowly, his eyes still fixed on Jack. Yes, cadets, you are dismissed for now. Please return to your quarters and await further instructions. The humans saluted crisply and filed out of the simulation chamber. As the door closed behind them, the aliens erupted into urgent conversation. In the corridor outside, the human cadets maintained their composed demeanor until they were safely around the corner and out of sight of any surveillance devices. Then Emma let out a quiet whoop of celebration. Did you see their faces? She whispered excitedly. I thought that insect guy was going to molt right there, Daniel grinned. The best part was how confused they were. They kept waiting for us to. Explain some complex secret, but it really was just basic physics. Let's not get overconfident, Jack cautioned, though he was smiling too. This was just the first test. They'll be watching us much more closely now, Olivia nodded in agreement. They'll probably design new simulations specifically to counter our approach. Let them try, Sam said with a shrug. We'll just have to get more creative. As they approached their quarters, they noticed other cadets in the hallways staring at them. News had already spread throughout the academy. The Deathworlders had done something unprecedented. A group of Felbian cadets stepped aside hurriedly as the humans passed, their silver skin rippling with what might have been fear or awe. I think our social standing just changed, Emma murmured. Jack nodded. For better or worse? Come on, let's get inside before we become a spectacle. Once in their common area, they sat down to discuss what had happened. They underestimated us, Daniel said. That's why we were able to surprise them so completely. They won't make that mistake again, Jack replied. We need to be prepared for much greater challenges going forward. Do you think they'll try to restrict our training? Olivia asked. They seem pretty shocked by what we did. Jack considered this. I don't think so. The whole point of the coalition is to bring together different species and their unique abilities. If they start putting limits on us specifically, it undermines that purpose. Plus, Sam added, they need us. Earth has resources the coalition wants, and now they know we have capabilities they didn't expect. Which means we just became a lot more valuable to them, Emma concluded. Jack leaned forward. And a lot more concerning. We need to be careful about how we proceed. We've shown them what humans can do under pressure, but we don't want to appear threatening. Their discussion was interrupted by a notification on their datapads. A message from Admiral Zixvar himself, human cadets. Your performance today was ... unexpected. The Academic Council will meet tomorrow to discuss your accelerated integration into advanced training programs. In the meantime, I would appreciate a detailed report on your tactical approach to the simulation. Your methods may prove valuable to coalition defense strategies. The 5 humans looked at each other, a mixture of pride and apprehension on their faces. Well, Jack said with a small smile, I guess we made an impression. What do we put in that report? Daniel asked. Do we tell them everything? Jack thought for a moment. We tell them what they need to know. The basic principles, the general approach, but not everything. Because humans should keep some advantages to ourselves? Olivia asked. Jack shook his head. Because giving them all the answers won't help them learn. If they want to understand how humans think, they need to figure some things out for themselves. As night fell on the academy, the ripples of the humans' performance spread throughout the station. In offices and private quarters, instructors and administrators reviewed the simulation records, trying to understand exactly what had happened, and in the Admiral's office, Zixvar stood at his window, looking out at the stars, wondering what other surprises Earth's Deathworlders might have in store. News traveled fast across the Galactic Coalition. By the next morning, every student and instructor at the Academy knew about the humans' unprecedented performance. By the end of the day, the story had reached Coalition headquarters on the central planet of Xerilia. Within a week, it was being discussed in government chambers across 27 star systems. The 5 human cadets found themselves at the center of attention. Wherever they went, conversations stopped and eyes followed them. Some looked at them with admiration, others with wariness, but no one ignored them. Jack noticed the change immediately when they entered the Academy's main dining hall for breakfast. Don't look now, but I think we've become celebrities, he muttered to the others as they collected their food trays. The vast hall, usually filled with the chatter of hundreds of cadets from dozens of species, grew noticeably quieter as the humans entered. Hundreds of eyes, some with multiple pupils, some with compound lenses, some glowing with bioluminescence, all turned to watch them. This is awkward, Sam whispered. Where should we sit? Before anyone could answer, a tall, blue-skinned Arcturian cadet approached them. He was flanked by cadets of several other species. You are the Earth cadets, the Arcturian said. It wasn't a question. I am Traskell, second-year tactical student. My colleagues and I would be honored if you would join us. Jack glanced at the others, then nodded. Thank you, we'd be happy to. As they followed Traskell to his table, Emma leaned close to Jack. This is new. Yesterday they barely acknowledged we existed. Success changes everything, Olivia remarked quietly. The next hour was filled with questions. The alien cadets wanted to know everything about Earth, human military tactics, and especially how they had beaten the simulation so quickly. Jack and the others answered carefully, sharing general information but avoiding specific details. The most interesting thing, Traskell said, is that my instructors are now revising their teaching methods. Your approach has caused quite a stir. We didn't mean to disrupt your curriculum, Jack said diplomatically. Traskell made a gesture that seemed equivalent to a human shrug. Disruption leads to advancement. The Coalition has grown comfortable with certain tactical doctrines. Perhaps too comfortable. Before they could continue the conversation, their datapad simultaneously alerted them to a new message. Admiral Zixvar requested their presence in the High Council chamber immediately. The High Council chamber was on the top level of the Academy's central tower. The humans had never been there before. When they arrived, they found not just Admiral Zixvar and the Academy staff, but also several high-ranking officials wearing the formal insignia of the Coalition government. The chamber itself was impressive, with a domed ceiling displaying a real-time holographic map of Coalition space. In the center was a large circular table where 12 officials sat waiting. Admiral Zixvar gestured for the humans to approach. Cadets, he said formally, thank you for coming promptly. This is High Chancellor Vox of the Coalition Security Council, a tall, elegant being with pale golden skin and 6 slender arms inclined, her head toward them. Earth cadets, your performance has attracted significant attention. The Security Council wishes to understand your capabilities more thoroughly. Jack stepped forward. We're honored, High Chancellor. How can we assist? Chancellor. Vox gestured to a series of seats prepared for them. Please be seated. We have reviewed your report on the simulation tactics, but there are still many questions. For the next 2 hours, the humans answered increasingly detailed questions about Earth. Human physiology, psychology, and military history, they explained. How Earth's high gravity and varied environments had shaped human evolution, how thousands of years of warfare had refined human tactical thinking, and how necessity had driven human innovation. So these adaptive approaches are common among all humans? Asked a Zentari Council member, his crystalline form shimmering with interest. More or less, Jack replied. Different human cultures develop different specific tactics, but the underlying principles are similar. We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. Fascinating, Chancellor Vox said. And concerning in some ways. Your species developed these capabilities through constant conflict and survival pressure on your homeworld. Emma spoke up. With respect, Chancellor, those same pressures also taught us the value of cooperation. Earth's nations fought for centuries before learning to work together. We understand both conflict and peace at a fundamental level. The Council members exchanged glances. Jack could see they were both impressed and uneasy. Admiral Zixvar cleared his throat. Chancellor, if I may, I've prepared a proposal based on what we've learned from the cadets' performance. Proceed, Admiral, Chancellor Vox said. I recommend we establish a new training program integrating human tactical thinking with Coalition doctrine. These cadets have demonstrated approaches our own instructors never considered. By combining our different perspectives, we can strengthen Coalition defense capabilities significantly. The Council chamber fell silent as the officials considered this idea. Finally, Chancellor Vox spoke. I agree, Admiral. But this goes beyond merely military applications. The humans have shown us something important about our own limitations. We have become too comfortable with our established ways of thinking. She turned to address the 5 cadets directly. Your performance in that simulation has changed how the Coalition views humanity. You came here as students, but I believe you have much to teach us as well. Jack felt a weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. We're still new to galactic society, Chancellor. We have much to learn from you too. Indeed, Chancellor Vox replied with what might have been a smile. That is the foundation of the coalition, different species learning from each other, combining their strengths and helping each other overcome their weaknesses. She rose from her seat, her 6 arms moving in a formal gesture. Earth Cadets, the Coalition Security Council extends an invitation. We wish to establish a permanent exchange program between Earth and Coalition training facilities. Your instructors will come here, and ours will go to Earth. Together, we will create something new and stronger than either could achieve alone. The other council members nodded in agreement, even those who had seemed most disturbed by the humans. Capabilities. As the meeting concluded and the humans prepared to leave, Admiral Zixvar approached Jack privately. Cadet Nelson, he said quietly, when I arranged that simulation, I expected to teach you a lesson about humility. Jack remained respectfully silent, waiting for the Admiral to continue. Admiral Zixvar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Instead, you taught us something about assumptions and adaptability. I won't make the mistake of underestimating humans again. That works both ways, Admiral, Jack replied. We won't underestimate the Coalition either. I think our species can accomplish amazing things together. As the 5 human cadets left the High Council chamber, they knew their lives had changed permanently. They had arrived as curiosities, representatives of a little-known Deathworld species seeking acceptance. They were leaving as valued allies with unique perspectives and capabilities. The path ahead would not be easy. Cultural differences, misunderstandings, and lingering suspicions would create obstacles. But in just 15 minutes, they had shown what humans could do when challenged. And in doing so, they had opened a door not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. The age of human integration into galactic society had truly begun.